Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about Meredith Whitney. And let me just go ahead and remind you, you're getting the highest level of fraud detection in the world. Nobody else in the world is going to present this. No one else in the world understands this. That's a fact. Write it down. That's guaranteed. Take it to the fucking bank. Why do I say that? The reason why, folks, is because I'm the only person in the world that can legitimately claim to have predicted the financial crisis. And this is what this is all about. Those of you who don't know who I am, you better look me the fuck up and do some research. Most of you are probably too fucking stupid to actually do that competently. That's the reality. Somebody out there, show me, how much money do you want? Put down a bet. Show me someone in the world who predicted the detail and accuracy of the financial crisis like I did. Show me. There's nobody. Now, Meredith Whitney is one of the cabal members, by the way, and that's why she's promoted. She's part of the whole media tribe. You got it? They're all related. If you're not related, you don't get promoted. It's a gang. It's a mafia. That's a fact. I've been proving it for a very long time. Soon after I became aware of it, I wasn't aware of it when I predicted the financial crisis. I only became aware of what was going on when I was banned. I was discriminated against because I'm not related to the mafia that runs the show. You got it? All these people you see promoted out there, they're either related to the guys that run the show, they're betting down with guys that run the show, they're married to guys that run the show, or they're representing the business interest of the guys running the show, with very rare exception. That's a fact. Write it down. Take it to the fucking bank. Now, any of you little doubters out there, you're not going to get to talk to me if you're a fucking nobody. If you've got a lot of exposure, someone big exposure, they want to debate me on this, let's fucking go. I've got the goods. I've got the evidence. I've been researching this for more than 15 years. And remember who I am. World-class investment analyst. One of the top in the world. Probably the very, very best investment analyst in the world. Look at my track record and you'll see. But even if I'm not certainly one of the best, look at my academic pedigree, my background. I probably know how to go through logic. I probably know how to analyze things since I have a master's of science in biological chemistry and biophysics. Okay? Probably know what I'm talking about. Probably. Folks, this is the easy stuff. The difficult stuff is analyzing and forecasting the markets, analyzing securities, coming up with the next big blockbusters, like I did in 2009, naming NVIDIA as my top pick for the stock with the best long-term growth. That's unprecedented right there. And NVIDIA has been on my research recommended list every single fucking month of every single fucking year since I began publishing research in June of 2009. I mean, that right there, find me an analyst out there who did that. Nobody. Find me an analyst who predicted the financial crisis. Nobody. Combine the two. Holy Jesus. I'm not going to go on with my track record because it's, I'm not going to do it. I could go on and on. I predicted the boom in China, the collapse in China, the boom in India. Many things, too many things to talk about. Those of you who read, of course, Wall Street Investment Bible, you saw in 2008, you saw me recommending to short Blockbuster. That's right, I printed a fucking book. Short Blockbuster, go long in Netflix. Netflix has been recommended by me ever since that time. Boom, there you go. So, and the problem in this world today, folks, is everything is dominated by volume. Everything in the world today, because of the internet, and the internet's nothing but fucking scams and porn for the most part. Scams and porn. I mean, that is to say, if you count, disinformation and horse shit with scams. So we could say scams, porn, disinformation. And then, that's probably 80%. Another, 15, 16, 70% is just low yield fucking fluff horse shit. And then you have just a small percentage of useful content, most of which is non-commercial. It's not commercially based. In other words, academic publications, so on and so forth. That's the fact, folks. And so that's why everything today is dominated by volume. What do I mean by volume? You got the views, you got the exposure. You dictate the perception of reality. Let me repeat. If you have the exposure, and this is the way it's always been. It's just that before you had the dominance, and I hate to use the term mainstream media because it's kind of a stupid term. It doesn't really mean anything because mainstream and alternative, it's basically the same thing run by the same cabal of scammers. But most people don't understand that. I've explained that a long time ago. Surely over the years you've seen the gradual convergence of mainstream and so-called alternative media. They've gradually converged. And now, in many cases, they're arguably inseparable. But that's been going on for a long time, right? The media, they dictate the narratives. They control everything. They got us into the war in Iraq because everyone in the media, everyone in Washington, and of course the media highlights Washington. They broadcast Washington when they told us weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Repeating it over and over and over and over again. Right? Today, in the internet, it doesn't really matter who you are, who you represent, as long as you have the exposure. You've got the eyeballs watching you, the ears listening to you. You dictate the perception of reality. And this is why the internet has given rise to people with no talent. And, and some of you, most of you probably, you're saying like, what's going on? I want to listen to Meredith Whitney. What's the whole deal here? Why are you talking about this? If you're thinking that, let me just say something. You don't know what the fuck's going on. I've got to lay down the foundation of what the fuck is going on because you're clueless. Others are going to be like, oh, I'm not going to listen to this because you're used to the quick sound bits, the impulsive fucking bullshit. That's why your brain is melting and you're a loser in life and you're going nowhere because you're a victim. You're being deceived and defrauded by these things I'm warning about, by these people I'm warning about, by these organizations I'm warning about. That's the reality. Good example, by the way. You've got this guy, this, YouTube guy, YouTube boxer. What's his name? Jake Paul, I guess. Paul. And by the way, let me just mention something, a little hint for those of you out there who don't know this. Whenever you see a surname that's also a first name, yeah, they're almost always, part of the cabal. That's a little trick. And we know the people that are related to the cabal get all the exposure for no fucking reason at all. So you got this guy, Paul, who's basically a YouTube boxer. He's not a real fucking boxer. Yeah, officially he's a professional boxer. Anybody can become a professional boxer. He hasn't really fought anybody. I think he fought one guy and he got fucking knocked out. But he gets all these lightweights. Why? Folks, boxing is about promotion, right? Boxing is about promotion. All that matters is that you get enough people that are going to watch it so they can bet on it. You understand? So any fucking idiot that's got a lot of subscribers can do anything and sell that, promote that, and make a lot of money, like this guy did. Fighting some guy, just almost a senior citizen, Mike Tyson, which, you know, I already knew beforehand that's a fucking joke of a fight. It's not even a sparring match. It's a fucking joke. They're both lining up for the money. This is an example. Does anybody call out this farce in a weak attempt to basically turn professional boxing into WWE or some fucking circus show? You had all these idiots. Understand that. This is the power of exposure, folks. And the problem is that once you have entities, individuals with enough exposure, the truth doesn't have any chance. And you're just believing all the bullshit out there. This is what's going on today. It's been going on for several years. People such as myself, if there are any other individuals like myself, we're insignificant. We don't matter. That's why I don't even fucking bother anymore. People are brainwashed to believe a bunch of horse shit, and they think they know what's going on because they spend half their fucking time tuning into all the disinfo agents and gatekeepers. And they're not intelligent enough to understand they're being duped and to call them out. They just go with the flow. These are the same people who line up to vote thinking that their vote matters, by the way. Okay. I don't need to know about Jake Paul's mom. I already told you the trick. Okay? Surname. When a surname can be used as a first name, that's pretty close to 100% guaranteed. That's one of the tricks. I know a lot of tricks to identify these parasites, by the way. That's one of them. Okay? So why am I talking about this exposure? Folks, I've lived this whole life. I have been discriminated against. I've been discriminated against by a mafia that controls the media. This mafia, a criminal organization, operates largely legally. That is to say, they are able to defraud people on a daily basis, legally. I'm not saying that they don't do things illegally, because they do. But their whole business model is based upon fraud. They are allowed legally to lie. That's a Supreme Court ruling. And guess who runs the fucking legal system? Need I say more? Okay, this is what it's all about, folks. And I take fucking offense at this. And I already emailed this fucking cunt, which we're going to talk about here shortly, who wrote this article I'm going to feature promoting this lady here. This doofus, this airhead, Meredith Whitney. And I want you guys to do the same fucking thing. You wonder there have been no videos in a few days. There wasn't going to be any more. This is just a stream to cover this shit. Wasting my fucking time. This is for the record. And this is something most people aren't interested in because they're fucking stupid. And this is why I say, folks, it's quite simple. When you got a guy like me, best thing you can do in your fucking life is really, really do a deep dive on my track record and my credibility. And then you're going to say, holy shit, this guy's got a wealth of knowledge and wisdom he can impart onto me. I want to listen to this guy. See how he can help me, wake me up. It's that simple. So let me give you let's go into Meredith Whitney now. I've done some videos on her before, some streams on her before, and I've done many over the years on my site. I've exposed this fraud. I'm going to go through I didn't even need to. Actually, the preparation for this was about 30 minutes because I pulled up some material, but I didn't even read the article on her because I know the whole story. I know the whole pitch. It takes like 30 minutes just to pull up all the shit, to be honest with you, to pull up everything you want to show. And so I haven't done I've done no preparation at all. Zero. Don't need to. I've been covering not only this whole genre, the genre of the fraudsters that claim to have predicted the financial crisis. And notice that you very rarely will come across any of these tribal members, and they're all related, by the way. I mean, folks, open your eyes and see what's going on. Ask yourself, when you see people being promoted as this and that and so on and so forth, and they're experts and they're geniuses, take a good look at their lineage, and then take a good look at the representation of that lineage in the general population. And then you're going to know something's going on. And then when you realize that these false claims that are being made by the media about them, when you realize they're false, then you'll see exactly what's going on. I know this. I've lived this for 20 fucking years. Okay? For 20 fucking years, I've lived this personally. So I know this. Anybody out there, show me a single person who the media claims predicted the financial crisis, legitimately predicted it. Show me. You can't do it. You can't do it. Are you willing to put money on that? I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. You can't do it. And we'll have a debate. It's got to be a minimum. I don't even think $10,000 is sufficient, really. But I don't want to, exclude some broke dicks out there. I mean, I actually would like to exclude the broke dicks because they waste my fucking time. The people with Dunning-Kruger, people with cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias. They don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. And I put money on things because it makes you serious. When you're putting money on something, you don't just flap your fucking mouth. You start to think about it a little seriously. That doesn't mean, though, that you put money on something. It doesn't mean that you're right. Because there's a lot of idiots out there. They're willing to put money on stuff. They're just fucking stupid. Okay, I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. Show me a single person that's promoted by the media as having predicted the financial crisis that truly predicted it. Show me. 10,000, 20,000, what do you want to bet? I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. You know what 2-to-1 odds are? That means you bet 10 grand, you win, you get 20 grand. Okay. We'll get a neutral party to judge. People who are competent, experienced to judge. Okay. You know what 2-to-1 is? I mean, you know what you have to do to get 2-to-1 if you go to the horse track? I mean, the horse basically doesn't have a whole lot of a chance of winning. 2-to-1 odds. Not much of a chance, right? I'm waiting. Anybody in the world, let's fucking go. You send this to anybody in the world out there. Anybody. I'm waiting. No one's going to show up. Nobody. So Meredith Whitney. Now we can begin. Meredith Whitney. She was one of the people who, and it's funny because it's very funny because there was a period of time many years where Meredith Whitney, they kind of didn't. This whole promotion of her having predicted the financial crisis is over the past few years. It's recent. It's recent. Now, there was a period early on when they claimed that, and I'll get to that here in a minute. And the reason why is they wanted to sell you a bunch of horse shit. Okay? But Meredith Whitney was one of the people. There's a long list. I still haven't had a chance to go down and detail and write an article to show in detail all these people. And they're going to, folks, I made this prediction 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And I'm telling you, just write this down. Over the years, as time goes on, you're going to see more people pop up claiming they predicted the financial crisis as people forget the details. You understand? You're going to have more and more people that make these false claims. What's a prediction, by the way? I'm going to show you what that entails here a little bit shortly later, if I remember. Meredith Whitney, once again, is one of these people that and let me get back to what I was saying earlier about it's very rare you find any of these people that the media claims predicted the financial crisis that will come out and say, I predicted the financial crisis. You notice that. If you didn't notice that before, write that down and keep that in your little handbook. It's very rare, extraordinarily rare, that you're going to see anybody out there. In fact, I can't recall any particular time where I've ever seen any of these con artists of what they are, whether it's Meredith Whitney or Peter Schiff or Noel Robini or whomever. The list is fairly long, 10, maybe even 12 of people that the media claims predicted the financial crisis. They don't come out and say, I predicted it. You know why? Folks, it's passing the buck. This is the thing I've been telling you all about the media, what they do. This is the big scam with the media. It's passing the buck. So in other words, if somebody comes out and claims they predicted the financial crisis, they're now liable. I'll tell you every fucking day I did because I goddamn know I did and I can prove it. Ask yourself, who else out there the media claims predicted it? Ask yourself, are those people coming out and claiming they predicted it? They're not. They're getting their media buddies to do it for them. So they're not liable. You understand? But think about who's they say, I didn't. What are you talking about? I didn't claim. These people are giving them their bios. They're telling the media what to say. Their PR people are telling the media what to say. You understand? And then one media source repeats it, another one repeats it, and they just keep repeating it over and over again until it becomes perceived fact. That's how the media works. Okay? That's how the media worked with the Iraq War, weapons of mass destruction. Some of you don't know. You don't remember. You're too young. You weren't born. That's exactly how that worked. And guess what? That was exposed. And what happened after we realized that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Saddam Hussein did not have those weapons of mass destruction. Did we pull our troops out? No. Now you're getting the deal on the financial crisis. I'm exposing all this shit. These people did not predict it. I've already explained why all these celebrated celebrities that the media loves to promote on a daily basis, the fund managers that bet on the financial crisis, bet against the subprimes, how they predicted it. And of course, they didn't predict shit. Okay? I've gone over that so many times over and over again. And the sad reality is that people are so fucking stupid. It's just shocking to me how stupid they are. You want to remain stupid? You want to get dumber? The more time that you consume anything related to online content, there you have it right there. That's fact. Fact. So Meredith Whitney was promoted as someone who predicted the financial crisis. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you that evidence. I'm going to show you the basis of her claim specifically. And you can go through and you can research it yourself. Okay? I'm going to expose the fraud because it's quite clear. It's crystal clear in Meredith Whitney's case. Okay? And then we're going to go through more things here. And I'm going to explain to you why this is fraud and why the media is not only guilty of lying and fraud, but also Meredith Whitney. You should know by now. Meredith Whitney, she's responsible for this. She's not saying I predicted it. She's letting the media say it for her. You understand? She's guilty of this shit. She's a fraud. You tell her I fucking said it. You're a fraud, Meredith Whitney. What are you going to fucking do? You're going to do nothing. You're a fraud. You stop it. You fucking stop it. Stop swindling people with your false claims. Folks, you see, if you make false claims, she is trying to elevate her status. You understand? She's trying to rewrite history to create a fake track record in order to generate income. You understand? If you have some person out there who makes all these false claims that they predicted this and they predicted that and they didn't do it, there's a way to boost their perception to make more money. That's fraud if they didn't do it. And anybody out there in the world, come after me. All my claims are fucking true, factual, and proven. That's fact. Anybody want to come after me? Let's fucking go. I'm waiting. Okay? See, because folks, when you expose things and you expose all kinds of people, you got a target on your back. People want to fuck with you. Well, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. I've already had people just claim all kinds of crazy things. Oh, he didn't do this. He didn't do this. Complete pieces of shit. I'm talking cyber stalking. They even called up Southern Methodist University to see if I taught a biotech course 25 years ago. Just to try and discredit me. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I don't even promote myself as a biotech analyst, aside from the fact that, yes, I did teach the course. Okay? Who are you talking to? Who are you calling? What you do is you see if I'm on the payroll of SMU. Okay? I mean, this is the type of thing people do, folks. This is what they try to do. Here's what you care about. Did I predict the financial crisis? Right? It's right there in bold print. You understand? When people try to discredit you, focusing on things that don't really matter much, as opposed to the central thing, they're trying to look for anything that they can find. You understand? It's like throwing everything and seeing what sticks on the wall. Then you know you're dealing with the fraud right there. A person that tries to do that. They're looking for any little thing they can find. And they didn't find it. I don't lie. I don't lie about my credentials, my claims, my track record. Okay? So, Meredith Whitney was a Wall Street analyst. And as I'm going to show you here shortly, she was a joke of an analyst. Okay. Now, understand that, I could talk extensively about Wall Street analysts, their qualifications or lack thereof, what their business really is. But it's clear to me that Meredith Whitney became an analyst because she's related to the right people. You understand? Because she's clearly a fucking idiot. She's an airhead. She doesn't have the smarts at all. And she worked for CIBC, which is a fucking shit show. Okay, not to say that there's not idiots working for the major firms, because there are. In fact, let me go ahead and show you here if I have it. Let me see if I have it here. I'm going to show you. Yeah, I saved it because I'm actually going to discuss this as part of my market forecasting webinar and the boot camp of market forecasting portion. And part of that is going over, because recent calls. Let me see here. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Recent calls by Wall Street to show you, because if I go over stuff that's 10, 20, 30 years ago, people don't really understand. They don't remember the details, and they can't really appreciate why a specific forecast was ridiculous or legitimate. But going over the past few years, people remember. And I'm going to go over, I'll show you here. I've talked about this before. I think I did a video I posted. I know I did some videos on the site, but you can see Mike Wilson. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to remind everybody about this guy, this fucking clown, Morgan Stanley. This is a guy who, remember, he's one of the bearish guys out there. And he was, and I haven't looked at the exact details, but he was one of the guys who reportedly, maybe the only Wall Street guy who reportedly was bearish in 2022 and warned against downside. Now, of course, those who get my research know I was also at the beginning of the year, I warned to get out of the market, and I actually nailed the bottoms. I put in levels for the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ by June of 2022, and those bottoms actually triggered exactly, just almost exactly, not point for point, but almost exactly, pretty damn close in October. So I knew when to flip and get back in. The problem with Wilson is that, and understand, this is a guy who has tremendous exposure, not only through the media for Morgan Stanley, but the clients at Morgan Stanley. You're talking millions of people. And he remained bearish in 2023. Okay. He remained bearish. Of course, Wall Street was bearish, but not like Wilson. Wall Street was bearish. They didn't really know what was going on. They didn't have anything to come out until November, mid-November of 2023. I had already, 6 months earlier, I had already come out with a bull market call. Strong bull market. That's in my research. Okay. I had already done that. Wall Street didn't come out with a call until November, mid-November. Okay, of a higher market next year, 2024. Wilson remained bearish, along with David Kostin of Goldman Sachs. Bearish. And as well as also JP Morgan. Okay, bearish. Wilson, now Kostin gradually became more bullish. They had to throw in the towel by December, Goldman Sachs, December 2023. Why? Because the market was already flying. So they had to throw in the towel. Wilson didn't throw in the towel. JP Morgan didn't throw in the towel. Wilson remained bearish into 2024. And you're going to see here, the media actually claims, Scamberg claims that he changed his tune in early 2024. Well, I guess you could say that's true, since early is subjective. Okay, Wilson didn't throw in the fucking towel and start removing his bearish calls until the spring of 2024, and even then they weren't that bullish at all. Okay, and we're talking Wilson. We're talking was putting in targets of 4,200 for the S&P in 2023, the end of 2023, and I think maybe 2024, maybe he raised it to 4,400. I'm not sure about that, but it's just a complete joke. So recently, just a day or two ago, let's take a look at this title. Prominent Wall Street, and let me remind you all, after Wilson's terrible fucking broken clock. That's what he, folks, this is why market forecast is extremely difficult, because very few people in the world know how to shift gears. Once you develop a bearish case, most people, all they can do is they just keep looking through that bearish scenario, and they're waiting for that everything to play out. And rarely does it play out as they think, right? And so what happens is that the market reverses eventually. You see? And let me remind you that, of course, in 2022, institutional investor named Wilson as the top Wall Street strategist. Okay? But this guy's been a complete disaster. He was demoted. He was basically removed from the private client services department. And they said, oh, well, we're putting him in institutional to help them. He was humiliated, shamed, and I can guarantee you loads of Morgan Stanley customers were bitching to their brokers about this guy. They were calling in saying, what the fuck's going on? You guys got me scared. I pulled out of the market. The S&P, and I've sat there and watched it go up 50% since I pulled out, and he's still bearish. Think about that. Okay. And to his credit, obviously what he was doing was he was focusing on the inverted yield curve, which I pointed out a long time ago is not as definitive as you hear in the media. Okay. Pointed to increasing interest rates, so on and so forth. So, of course, it's a numbers game. If you're going to see an inverted yield curve, you're going to see a big increase in interest rates, right? Then you have to be biased for a bear market or a recession or both. It's certainly responsible to have that bias early on. And which, by the way, nobody on fucking YouTube, none of these fake investment gurus had a fucking clue what was going on, because they don't understand the importance of market forecasting. They can't forecast the market. They're a bunch of fucking stooges. They were, discounted cash flow. Oh, I'm still buying. Oh, I'm still buying. You see, fucking idiots. All frauds. There's not a single legitimate person on YouTube pitching stocks they're not legitimate. They're all fakes and frauds. Show me a person who's pitching stocks who's legitimate. They're all dildos. They're idiots, fakes, and frauds. They don't know anything. All they know how to do is talk fast. They got the word game going. They got the word salad going. Blah, 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 blah. They got the game. They got the game, the pitch. They've been watching Jim Cramer talk about PE ratios, talk about earnings growth, talk about this, that. Fucking idiots. They don't know their head from their ass. That is a fact. You can write it the fuck down. And until somebody shows me an example of an exception, okay, I'm an open-minded guy. I'm open-minded. The problem is that every person out there and their fucking mother thinks that their guy is legit because they're fucking stupid. I mean, think about it. How many millions of idiots out there exist that think that one of countless fake investment gurus is legitimate? They all think they're legitimate. That's why I say, don't waste my fucking time. I'm not here. I don't have time to educate your fucking brain dead ass. put your money where your mouth is or shut your fucking mouth. If you're not going to put your money where your mouth is, then you're probably not even confident in your own assessment, in your own ideas. You're not confident. Confidence doesn't mean reality, but that's the first step. If you're not going to be confident enough to put your money where your mouth is, don't even just get away from me. Waste my fucking time. Got it? Nobody else in the world does this, by the way, because the world is dominated by hucksters, disinformation, and bullshit artists. These days, nobody has to prove anything. Nobody has to, they just say whatever they want, and that's it. It's repeated over and over again, and it's taken as legitimate because it's got a lot of views, it's got a lot of likes, and you've got the minions out there that repeat their fucking narrative, and people think it's legitimate. But none of these motherfuckers are going to come to the table with money and bet what they're saying is correct. Whether it's the myth, the mythology that all these gold pumpers push, or what have you. Folks, you might recall, I'm going to close out now on this Mike Wilson here shortly. Let me just mention, though, as I thought about this, you might recall I exposed the whole Elon Musk Donald Trump thing. I told you what was going to happen. Got it? And you see, okay, it's so fucking obvious back what Elon Musk was doing. Okay? And now you see the Trump administration, they haven't even taken office yet, and they have already announced they're going to lower the barriers, the hurdles for self-driving to help Tesla, which is already responsible for 20 fucking homicides. Can you believe that shit? I'm not surprised. You think I'm fucking surprised? It's obvious what's going on. Where are going to be the Capitol riots when Trump takes office and starts divvying out all this business and money to the people that are loyal to him, like Elon Musk. Elon Musk has bought the presidency for $132 million. I mean, it seems to me that people should be, if they're going to riot, it seems to me they should be rioting when Trump takes office, assuming he's going to be doing the things that I think he's going to be doing, which I think it's pretty obvious he is going to do those things. I mean, that's the failure of democracy right there. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's not going to happen. People aren't going to, folks, once again, Americans are all fucking under mind control. They're fucking stupid. The media controls their mind. They're going to do what the media incites them to do. Do you understand? You're not going to have the left come out and tell you what I told you about Elon Musk and Trump to incite some type of a riot. They're not going to do that. You say, well, why would they do that? Folks, because, once again, it's like two mafia crime families, right? They've got this Democrats and Republicans. They don't want to spoil the whole game. They don't want to expose the grand scheme of things. They want to make you look like they're combating against each other, but they don't want to expose how everything works. You see? Because then people are going to start to realize that Wall Street is helping China finance its military. I've talked about that. How come you're not hearing about this? Wall Street firms right now are in China helping to finance the Chinese military buildup. Fact. Write it down. How come you're not hearing about this? How come you're not hearing about forcing Wall Street firms to withdraw from China, to move their offices out of China? Where do you think China's getting its financing from, its funding from? It's going to international investors. It's going to pension plans. Anyway, take a look here. So notice how they position him as positive as possible. Morgan Stanley strategist Michael Wilson, well known for his bearish views on U.S. equities in recent years, has an outright bullish outlook for 2025. Think about that. So does it really tell you what's happened with Mike Wilson? No, it doesn't tell you anything. It's just bearish views in recent years. Does it say that Mike Wilson was really bearish during 2023 when the market was raging? I mean, the market was kind of, it was, the first, after, aside from that big rally that the market had, I believe it was in December or so of 2022, maybe January. A few months later, it wasn't, in the economics, there was nothing compelling, right? But the second half of the year, the market took off, and especially the fourth quarter when Wall Street came out and pumped it. But Mike Wilson was still bearish. Take a look at the chart. I mean, we can do that right now. I wasn't planning on doing that, but we can do that. Let's take a look at the I can't fucking do it. Got the futures up. So you can see Meredith Whitney there. Oracle of Wall Street, they call her, right? Who's the fucking Oracle of Wall Street? That's goddamn me. I'm the fucking Oracle. I'm the NVIDIA guy. I'm the Netflix guy, right? I'm the financial crisis guy. Predicted countless bankruptcies. And to this day, I don't know that my accuracy rate is below 100% on that, by the way. In other words, my hit rate on predicting bankruptcies. I don't know. I'm not going to say that it is, but I don't know. I can't think offhand. I can't think of a time where I have predicted one that did not happen. I've actually come out recently and didn't predict bankruptcies, but I pretty much said I don't see these companies being around in 10 to 20 years. 20 years especially. I'm not going to name those companies, but I'm pretty confident they're not going to be around. Several companies, actually. It's pretty obvious to me. Right. But let's take a look here. Fuck. I get no. Nobody knows about me, folks. It's kind of like. Let me explain. It's kind of like a good example is comedy. The comedy industry. Okay. Your perception of what you think is funny is based upon everything you've heard out there, all the comedians you've heard out there. And take a look at the vast majority of these comedians. They seem to have a common thread. And I don't find many of them at all even remotely funny, which you can tell what's going on. You see, comedy is a good exception to discuss because it's kind of like art. Right? Who determines what is good art? Who determines what's funny? Well, you're going to determine what's funny based upon what's out there. So if there's really talented people that aren't being given a chance as comedians, then you don't know about them. You don't have that perspective. And it's actually the same thing in the financial media and the financial markets. Why? Because people don't even know. I mean, you have factual things that you can prove, but people don't even go to that extent to research stuff. That's what I've done. You see, I've shown you the facts. I can prove it. Well, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, Yahoo's a fucking goddamn shit show. It's a complete fucking. So let me show you here just to pull this up. I'll just pull up the S&P Vanguard ETF, since I don't know the ticker for what they're going to have on here for the S&P. I don't want to log in. So as I'm talking, just take a look at this chart. Remember Mike Wilson, bearish 2022, okay, right call, but was bearish in 2023 and much of 2024. Take a look. This is son of a bitch. This fucking volume. I should have just logged in. Take a look. See that? Okay. So take a look here. This is 2022, all the way down. This is the bottom, which I nailed in advance, by the way. It's fact. It's published, written in my research. And by this time, actually, I was already telling people we're in the beginning of a new bull market. By the way, before there was any evidence of that, there's nothing. And so Wall Street comes out. They come out in the middle to late November, and this is why you can see this big surge. Mike Wilson has been bearish really bearish up until around here. So you have what? S&P, VOO, 484. Just think about this. I mean, we're talking almost 50%, 40% or so upside. So let's take a look and see. Because they're not telling us a whole lot. Let's see what he said. So for 2025, he expects the S&P to hit 6,500. That's not that bearish per se. I mean, it's, already close to 6,000, right? So he previously had a target of 5,400 for the benchmark in mid 2025. So take a look at that. His target for 2025, mid 2025, was 5,400. Okay, until recently. And son of a bitch. Let me see here. Okay, there we go. So that we get the exact numbers here. Because some of you that are going to be watching this are not too, you're kind of slow, right? You can't really. So Wilson was very, very bearish. So now, so up until this point here, Wilson had a target of 5,400 for the S&P by middle of next year, and the S&P is 6,000. Okay, think about that. Okay. Anyway, and believe me, his targets for 2024 were in the low 4,000s, by the way. So I talked about how he's in trouble. Like Morgan Stanley's in trouble. They're going to have to bring a new guy in, and they're going to kind of forget about him. And so Mike Wilson now is trying to save face, but it's impossible. Okay. So let's get now to Meredith Whitney. Long awaited. Meredith Whitney has been credited as having predicted the financial crisis, and she's got this little name, Oracle of Wall Street. And in fact, she's even on Masterworks with some other investors. And it's funny because I saw the intro, and she's there with a couple of fund managers. And so they talk about things that, I don't know, they just, And Masterworks is a scam. It's just complete fucking horse shit. It's like it's for stupid people who think they're going to get something valuable out of hearing some perceived expert or leader in something out of 20 minutes. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. This is for the people that think they can get something quick. But it's funny because what I saw in Meredith Whitney is all she was doing was talking about the financial crisis, trying to kind of tell you how, I did this and I did that. No, you didn't. You didn't do shit. Okay. But anyway, let's take a look here. So she's featured on what I call blank ooh. Okay. That's what I call it. You can just take a look at all these media internet companies, Google, you can imagine what I call it, right? Who? You know what I call Google. You know what I call Facebook, right? Because you know who runs all this shit. Same people defrauding you. Folks, you got to understand something. All these big companies out there, whether it's the high-tech companies, Google, Facebook, Apple, right? These companies directly connected to you, your data, or it's even, the retail companies, McDonald's, Costco, all of them, but especially the high-tech companies, as you can imagine. They're all out to fuck you. It's a war. You understand that? It's a war. The corporations are out to fuck you all. It's a war. Us against them. The people against the corporations. They are there to fuck you over, to exploit you, to make money off you, to enslave you, to deceive you. That's what it's all about. You got it? They're not your friend. They're your fucking enemy. All of them. All of these mega corporations are your fucking enemy. And it's not just the corporations. It's the individuals. People like Alex Jones. People like Elon Musk. You think they're your friend? They're out to fuck all of you. That's fact. Once you start realizing this and thinking this way, then you're going to be a little more wise. And you're going to start to protect yourself. Okay? This is all factual, irrefutable. We can prove it all. No doubt about it. Let's take a look. Meredith Whitney, Oracle of Wall Street says home prices need to fall 20%. And so first of all, now I've been talking about this. I've been highlighting this liar scam artist, Meredith Whitney, for a couple of years now because she's been on this big PR campaign. Okay. And the whole thing is, this caters to the dummies, 95% of the population out there. In other words, people know there's a problem with housing. Housing prices are too high. Everybody knows that. And so Meredith is coming in there and the media is positioning her. Oh, she predicted the financial crisis, supposedly, quote, right? So she's talking about prices coming down now. Folks, first and foremost, and of course, Meredith Whitney doesn't understand this because she didn't predict the financial crisis. The financial crisis wasn't just a real estate bust. Okay? Real estate booms and busts are normal. It's a normal cycle. What was abnormal, what was rare, what was unprecedented, what had never happened before in 2008 when that fallout began, and it took 3 fucking years, by the way. Housing prices didn't bottom until 2011. Median price bottom, peak to trough, was 35%, which I predicted in my books, by the way. Nobody else in the world did that. I predicted a collapse of 35% in the U.S. real estate market. And guess what? That prediction was in 2006, before the collapse even began. Ask yourself who you're dealing with when you got a guy that can just do that. Just that alone. Pretty fucking sharp, I'd say. Nobody else made that forecast, by the way. And feel free to, if you haven't already done so, take a look at the description. You can see the links there on archive.org. Okay, the actual material, the chapters from the books. So the trick is to equate the financial crisis and the whole mythology that she predicted it, to somehow give you the impression that, wow, I better listen to her because she predicted the financial crisis. She's talking about downturn in housing prices by 20%. Okay, now, is what she's saying unreasonable? No, just from the surface, it's not. It's the reasoning that she uses that's not credible. So in other words, she's trying to make it look like she's coming up with some fucking amazing prediction, which it's not at all. And it's a real estate issue. It's not an issue like the financial crisis. The financial crisis was unprecedented, that real estate collapse, because it was triggered and accentuated by derivatives, mortgage-backed securities, leveraged mortgage-backed securities. That was the key. That's what's not normal. That's what was unprecedented. The asset-backed securities market, the mortgage-backed securities market had never collapsed prior to that period since the time it was launched in the 70s and the 80s. Asset-backed securities followed by mortgage-backed securities, which I wrote about. It had never collapsed. We're not dealing with a collapse of the mortgage-backed securities market. That's not anything that's out there as of any high possibility. Okay? We're talking about a completely different thing. But let's take a look now at this article. Fortune. So Fortune and Yahoo. Of course, all these companies, they pay for ad placement, right? Yahoo will they'll take money from anybody to place any kind of horse shit. Fortune is a scam. It's complete bullshit. Most of the writers from Fortune aren't even full-time. They're contractors. Many of them are also freelancers, and they work for free just to submit articles, to get promoted, to get exposure. And Fortune banned me. I was volunteering to be a free contributor 15 years ago, about 15, and they banned me. No, they're not interested in me. I have the emails, and they let amateurs contribute. Why? Why is that, folks? Why? So, take a look at this article. See this? According to Meredith Whitney, the Oracle of Wall Street, who predicted the great financial... No, she did. And then we're going to get to that here shortly. And those of you who, it's just too long. You're long-winded. You're a fucking idiot. You're fucking stupid. Don't question someone who's fucking brilliant, who's proven they're brilliant. Okay? If you do that, you're going to remain stupid. I'm giving you a free fucking education for which I could charge $1,000 for this fucking video. This live video here. Easily. It'd be worth every penny and more. So, she's going through boomers aren't selling. That's a problem. They're not selling because they locked in at low rates. Okay, great. Wow. She's a genius. Okay. So, let's take a look here. Whitney said she sees home prices falling 30%. I thought it was 20%. Partly because young single men are living at home playing video games. I mean, does this sound like some type of a, credible reasoning from a professional analyst? right? Unless you're creating a household, there's no reason to buy a house. Okay. Meredith, what do you think a lot of those baby boomers are going to do with their kids in their mom's basement playing video games? They're going to give them their fucking house, you dipshit. So, and what do you think they're going to do with the house? Right? Well, I'd say probably a lot of them are going to sell it because they want the money. Anyway, this is just complete horseshit, and it's really irrelevant because there's no imminent real estate collapse out there. This whole real estate issue has nothing to do with what we saw in the financial crisis. It's a completely different dynamic, absolutely different. Okay, and she doesn't even talk about what's most important, folks. I could claim, okay, housing is going to go down 20%. I don't know why they have 30% here. That's kind of I guess the author's a fucking idiot to say, But anyway, you'll see 30 here and then 20 up here. But the key thing is this. I want to know over what period, right? I want to see over how many years are we looking at. You understand? That's the key thing. But you see, when these stories are written like this, fall 20, people are thinking, oh, it's going to be a collapse. You understand? And in reality, what we're looking at, most likely, of course, it depends upon what the developers do and interest rates and, the strength of the economy. It depends upon a lot of things. But most likely what you're going to see is a long period of either very low or flat price growth, or interspersed within that maybe a one or two modest corrections in pricing, right? So in other words, the point is that over time, these things will correct. You're not going to see an overnight 20% collapse. You're either going to see below average housing price gains, which over time is going to diminish the overvaluation, or you're going to see maybe some downturns in the market that aren't extreme over time. But nobody really knows. But I would say that's kind of how it's going to play out. You're not going to see some 20% collapse, okay, unless, by chance, by impossible chance, you're going to see developers instantaneously flood houses on the market. Boom, overnight, which is not really possible. Okay. So my point is that the article is just a fluff piece. It's meaningless. Everyone knows that prices are high and that prices are not sustainable where they are. They're not going to keep going higher. They're going to either go down over time, or they're going to experience a long period of no appreciation. But I would say the latter is probably a lower probability just because of the market dynamics. There are forces out there that are going to tend to make sure prices are going to move in one direction or another with a bias towards upside. So most likely you're not going to see some imminent collapse. It's going to be something that plays out over time, depending upon the variables I mentioned earlier, which nobody really knows. Okay. But the key thing is it's not tied into a collapse based upon massive leverage, fraud, derivatives, so on and so forth. So why is she being interviewed? This is all PR, folks. This is a PR fucking piece. Okay. So let's now say, well, okay, Mike, that's fine. But, she did predict the financial crisis. The media says so. Let's take a look here. Some examples. Let's take a look. Okay. 2023, Meredith, who predicted the financial crisis, reveals her next act. We'll get to that here a little bit later. There you go. State of the housing market. How far will home prices fall? Constantly being interviewed. Because, she's in the cabal. You got it? You don't get any promotion whatsoever unless you're part of that media mafia, whether it's a fitness person or one of these real estate reality TV shows or these gold shows. Take a close look, folks. Take a very fucking close look. I mean, this has been going on for fucking decades. Dating back to the homosexual fitness guy, the very first one. What's his name? Simmons. Right? Just start observing things. Open your eyes. Because this is very important because it's not just the media. When you look and see who's controlling the media, who the so-called experts are, you're seeing the control of the discourse, of the topics, of the debate, where it's going, what the ideas are. And then this, you can imagine, not only extends to economics and investments, it extends to politics. And as you can imagine, it's very relevant because you see the misaligned interest, perhaps, with our geopolitical situation. Great example. Ukraine war. How about Israel? You understand? So when you see who's controlling the discourse out there, take a look at all these channels. Take a look at, Daily Wire, right? Take a look at Joe Rogan and who the majority of people he interviews. Take a close look at them. And I'm not talking about the stupid topics, fighting or whatever. He's going to have like minority people on there, and just I'm talking about the important topics, the political topics. See for yourself. Okay? All these people, you name it. Okay? This is a very important thing. So, and of course you can't specifically talk about it or you're a racist. Right? Must be pretty good when you're able to deceive, defraud, discriminate against people, even commit crimes besides fraud, many others, and be protected by the shield. You can't be criticized. You can't even be called out for your crimes, for your deception, for your fraud. I mean, it must be pretty great to live behind that shield. And that's, folks, this explains everything, by the way. This explains not only what we've seen in recent times, but it explains very much throughout history, which I have learned. FYI. Okay? Take a look. Let me remind everyone, we're going to go over this here shortly. This was, as I talked about in the previous video, this was Whitney when after she left her position with CIBC, she started her own firm because she was being promoted by the media. Oh, Meredith Whitney predicted the financial crisis. Oh, wow. She could start her own firm. She tried to have a research firm. She tried to start a credit rating agency, which failed, which is a little surprising since, she's related to the regulators and so forth. But she came out and predicted, I think, over 200 defaults in the U.S., municipal defaults. All these cities in the country would be defaulting, she said. She was propped up by 60 Minutes. This was a complete flop. Didn't happen. It's a joke. That's what this refers to. You can see here. I think she came out in 2010 or 2011. You can see what ended up happening is the municipal market had its best returns. See that? We'll go over that here shortly. So the media has always promoted these people. Do they ever tell you how wrong they've been? They don't do that, do they? Folks, the media, once again, they want to make a Superman. Why do you think I made that video, Superman? You all didn't fucking even get it. Nobody even got the video. It wasn't even watched. You all are fucking clueless, man. The media creates a Superman. Okay? I wrote about this more than 15 years ago in one of my books in the preface. It's the Britney Spears effect. Britney Spears, no talent, they make her into a superstar. Why? Because then, anytime Britney Spears, they interview her, you line up, you want to hear. Releases a record, you want to buy it. You want to listen to it. Same thing with these experts in the media. Okay? And I wrote about specifically how they've made Warren Buffett into the Superman. And if you look closely, it's not quite what you've been told. But they do that because every time now Warren Buffett, you notice all the ads. Oh, what Warren Buffett is buying. Oh. You understand. Right? They do this with all these people. Meredith Whitney, right? Peter Schiff, Harry Dent, and you see the results. Okay? You see the fucking results. I mean, remember when the media was pumping out Warren Buffett's, what was it, his Occidental? Oh, he's buying Occidental, he's buying more. It's been a fucking joke. It's been a fucking disaster. Okay? Anyway, do you hear about that? No. You don't hear anyone critical in the media about these people because they don't want to expose their fraud. They're creating these people, they're exaggerating, and in most cases they're lying. Buffett's case, they exaggerate, but in most other cases they're just completely lying about these people, making them out to be legitimate, and they're not fucking legitimate. And this is, you can see she's promoted on Financial Sense. Financial Sense, I said it before, I should do a separate video. Financial Sense, I view as a boiler room scam fucking portal. Jim Poplova. Yep, you guessed it. He's related to Meredith Whitney. And they also discriminate against people they're not related to, including myself. By the way, I have a whole story about that shit. But let me just go ahead and say this about Financial Sense. And you tell this to anybody in Financial Sense. Financial Sense runs a doomsday, fear-mongering bullshit media portal that they connect to their financial firm. I believe people who have lost money or underperformed the market under the whatever the Financial Sense, their whatever their financial portal is called, have a legal claim to sue them. Okay? That's what I believe. They promote a bunch of fear-mongering horseshit, scare people, and then when they invest into Financial Sense, they already have brainwashed into what they want their financial advisors to invest in. You understand? So it's passing the buck. It's not a solicited order because the solicitation was actually done in their media portal. You understand? You all probably don't understand this. I've explained it before. It's kind of the same thing that Peter Schiff does. Goes on TV, tells everybody, get out of the dollar, it's going to collapse. Stock market's going to collapse. Buy gold. Okay? Been telling people that now for 15 years. So people call up his firm. They believe his horse shit. Haven't looked at his track record of being completely wrong, like 90, probably 98% of the time. And they invest with Peter Schiff. What happens? Well, they want Peter Schiff to put them into gold stocks, and he's going to buy junior miners for them, which, folks, anybody talk about junior mining stocks, it's a scam. Junior miners is a fucking scam. Anybody involved with junior miners, you should consider them a fucking scammer. They're going to put them in gold stocks, going to put them in bullshit, right? International stocks, right? But Peter Schiff's brokers can mark unsolicited. They did not solicit those investments. So therefore, when those investments blow the fuck up and the customer loses their ass, it's more difficult for the customer to sue Peter Schiff's firm and to get the money back. You understand? Why? Because it's unsolicited. The customer called in with those specific investments. But guess what? Peter Schiff brainwashed them in the media with all these horseshit ideas. So is it really unsolicited? That's the whole gimmick that nobody else knows about what's going on with these fuckers. Financial Sense does the same fucking thing. Huge fucking scam. Okay. Jim Poplova, piece of fucking trash. See that? Meredith Whitney loses credibility as muni defaults, so the default rate is collapsing. In other words, they're not the opposite of defaults. They're improving. And so after her failure, you can see 2013, after her muni default failure, I mean, it's a complete disaster. She launches a hedge fund. And guess what? It fails. She's a fucking, folks, all these people that they promote, they have one thing in common. Usually, they're like, they fail over and over again. Fail. But guess what? They're all making money. But they fail in what the media claims that they're good at. They're failures. Okay. So she was on 60 Minutes in 2010, scaring everybody about a municipal bond default. As we're going to, I've talked about that before. She's talking about 50 to 100 sizable defaults. We're talking like major cities. Okay. Basically, she's trying to scare everybody. And, you know, there were only a small handful of defaults that were really possible. And many of those handfuls were not because of the financial crisis. They've been problems for a long time, like Detroit, like Cleveland, as you can imagine, right? Analyst Meredith Whitney is known for her call that anticipated the 2008 financial crisis. Now she's predicting that the housing market is due for some dramatic changes starting in 2024. See, if you go through this stuff, you're going to see, because this is what they all do. After a while, so they start out giving you more detail, and after things don't play out like they say, over time, they kind of either push it forward or they give you less detail because they've been wrong. You see, and most people, the majority of people, don't realize. Oh well, she's been saying this now for 4 years. They don't realize that because they don't research it. You see. And you can see her here. See that? Analysts who call the 2008 financial crisis. This is a lie. It's a fraud. This is a complete fraud, folks. That's what it is. So I'm not going to show you this 60 Minutes video yet. And by the way, it's extremely difficult. If not, it's actually impossible to find it on ScamTube. They have actually hidden it because they're ashamed. Let me show you now. Let's get back to this. Here's the evidence. So now what you've all been waiting for, I've shown this before. You can look this up on your own and you can find it. Okay. Meredith Whitney. Remember, she is credited with having predicted the financial crisis. Okay. And she was credited based upon, and you can research this on your own. You don't believe me. It was based upon a research report that she released in October of 2007. Okay? A year after I released my book, Predicting the Whole Financial Crisis, by the way, a year after, right? There were already major problems going on, by the way. You all don't know this. Very few people in the world know this. I specifically remember. I remember because I was out bargain hunting for real estate in 2007. I was hunting for developments that hadn't sold yet, that were new. And they hadn't sold because it was becoming harder to get financing. There were some issues. And specifically, I still remember this, and you all can look it up. I know this is fucking true. I specifically remember in August of 2007, there was a big problem. And I can't remember exactly what it was. It may have been subprimes. I don't know. But this is kind of the first major shock that even most people didn't even realize. They just kind of like blew past it. And I remember advising. I told these developers, I said, you guys, you're in trouble. You all don't know. You have no idea what's. I said, you better reduce these prices by at least 25%. You don't know what's coming. And so that was August. She comes out with this report in October 2007. Once again, a year after I wrote America's Financial Apocalypse, which not only, of course, predicted the exact details of the financial crisis, but also, as you might know, if you've read it, it predicted all the details of everything you're seeing now with the trade in China. Think about that. 20 fucking years before I wrote extensively about the problem with China cheating in trade and how it was destroying our economy. Nobody else in the world wrote about that. Think about that, folks. Once you understand that and you see what's going on now, I think you kind of see this. I'm the big swinging dick. Nobody in the world can come close to me as an investment analyst. The end. Nobody. There's no one close. Show me somebody out there. Anybody out there in the world. Buy side, sell side, anybody. Come, let's go. Come on. I'd love to see a case. Come on, bring me your case. But you see, most people are too fucking stupid. They don't even know, even now, they're too fucking stupid to understand what the hell's going on. Even 20 years after that book was written. Even after hearing about how Trump's going to raise tariffs. You understand? People still don't even get it. They still don't even appreciate the brilliance of that fucking book. The brilliance of that book, which is probably the best investment book ever written. Banned. Nobody knows about it. See for yourself. Read it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. You can start with the chapters below there. But you see, I mean, most people are too fucking stupid even today. They don't get it. They won't get it. Only the intelligent people in the industry, for the most part. There'll be some intelligent people outside of the industry that can get it. Okay? Those are the ones that they know I'm the big swinging dick. But I'm not in the club. I'm of the wrong lineage. Got it? So, here you go. Here's the report from October 2007. CIBC World Markets. You can find this online. This is the report. Citigroup. Is Citigroup's dividend safe? Downgrading stock due to capital concerns. Okay? This is the report that Meredith Whitney has been credited as having predicted the financial crisis. Now, I want you to go through and read the chapter or the two chapters that I have in the description that were written in 2006, showing all the shit, explaining everything and showing the fucking collapse, predicting Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, even them would be bailed out. And look at this. Remember, my book was written a year before this report. Okay? But take a look at what this report says. Okay? She's basically questioning if Citigroup's going to have to cut their dividend. That's it. Okay, well, let's take a look at her rating for Citigroup. Stock rating, sector underperformer. Sector underperformer. It's underperforming. That's all. Is it a sell? No, it's not even a sell. Okay, look at the sector. So this is the banking sector. So in other words, what's she recommending for you as an investor to hold in your portfolio? The banking sector. Market weight. Market weight. That means equal distribution. I mean, think about this. This is fucking fraud, folks. Meredith Whitney's a goddamn fraud. The media's all fraud. That's what I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you this shit. All these motherfuckers. I've been documenting this shit for 15 years. And you think the media is bad, YouTube's a billion times worse. A billion times worse. Take a look. Read it. Here you go. Larger copy here. Read it for yourself. Read it for yourself. This is the report, folks. So take a look. I'm looking for, okay, here you go. Meredith Whitney. I wanted to see her name there. Okay. So, just to prove it to you. I know this is the report. I knew that for sure, but I wanted to prove it to the fucking naysayers out there who want to try and disprove anything I say because I've exposed them as frauds in the past. You understand? Nobody can fucking take me down. I'm the only legit person out there. Write it the fuck down. Nobody. So, our thesis is simple. We believe over the near term, Citigroup will need to raise over $30 billion in capital through asset sales, a dividend cut, a capital raise, or a combination thereof. We believe such a catalyst will pressure the stock significantly lower and accordingly downgrade to sector underperformer from sector performer as of October 31st. You see that? So basically what she's saying is they have underperforming loans. They've got loans that are, more loans than they anticipated because every bank has loans that are going to default. People aren't going to pay them. They're going to have to write them off, right? There's a certain percentage of that. And so she's basically saying that there's more than they have accounted for. As a result of that, they're going to have to raise capital, okay, either through cutting the dividend, selling assets, or a direct capital raise, selling shares, right, or selling debt. That's it. Did she say, we think that Citigroup is poised to collapse because they're involved in the mortgage-backed securities bubble and they're over-leveraged, and we think they're going to collapse. And we think this is going to lead to a chain of collapses in the banking system, which is going to lead to a financial crisis. Of course not. Nothing. I want you to read this report, okay? You can find it online like I did. Just downgrading. It's downgrading. We're downgrading. Okay, it'll downgrade. What the fuck? You understand? This is what she's been. This is the so-called evidence that she's been attributed to predicting the financial crisis. Can you believe this shit? This is fraud. Now, once again, if you think this is sufficient, then you're fucking delusional. You're fucking demented. And if you're delusional and demented, let me help you out. Read my chapters on the financial crisis. Once again, written a year before this report. A year. Ask yourself, if I had exposure, what I'd be saying. I had no exposure throughout this period. 2007, I was still trying to get in the media. Even through 2008. Okay? Think about this. This is complete fraud. And folks, once again, why is this such a big deal? It's a big deal because, number one, this is a blueprint for how the media operates. Whenever you hear such and such, Michael Burry, Jeffrey Gundlach, Peter Schiff, whatever, it's horse shit. They're going to claim whatever. They're going to say, billionaire says this. Or Peter Schiff, the guy that predicted the financial crisis, says this. You understand? And you got to look at these people and see the reality. The reality is much different than the perception. It's fraud. This is what I'm talking about. I've been proving this for fucking years over years. Jim Rogers, same thing. You got it? And they're going to have newer guys This is their business model, the media. You understand? They do this with all genres. They're always creating these so-called experts. Why? To throw you under the fucking gutter so that they can make more money through advertisements. Got it? And the whores that are willing to go on their platforms and pretend like they're experts, they profit, because then everyone thinks they're experts, right? So they can launch businesses, investment firms, and sell books, right? Like Kevin O'Leary did. It's exactly what he did to get all his money from the Scam Tank show. People think he's a great investor. Great investor, huh? Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah, well, look into his past. You're going to see some shady shit going on. Okay? He's related to the same people who run the fucking media. That's why he's promoted. Got it? All these fuckers are. Once again, either they're related directly, they're betting down with someone who's related directly, or they're married to, or they represent a business of. Write it down. That's fact. That's what the leading investment analyst has proven over the years. I've seen this over and over again. It's not just the broadcast media. Take a look at YouTube. Take a look at who the biggest channels are in all the genres. And once again, when you're looking at this group of people, ask yourself what their representation in the population is. And ask yourself, is it statistically possible? And then you're going to see what's going on. It's fact. Okay? So you can look at the report for yourself. Okay, it's not just Meredith, Whitney, all these fuckers. All these so-called experts. Now, this is the story from Forbes. Take a look and see who wrote the story. Alina Botros. Okay? Which, you know, I can already tell you. Just look at the name. It's pretty obvious to me what's going on there. Okay? She's got her own little website like she's somebody special. Let's see how special she is. Okay. So she looks to be, well, let's take a look at her resume. I've already emailed her, by the way, and I would like to encourage you to do so as well. I posted my links and told her about all this. Meredith Whitney didn't predict anything. And I posted the link of her report, Meredith Whitney's research report that attributed. So, you know, I mean, this girl is she's just a fucking idiot who didn't research, who didn't prove to herself that she predicted. She's just going on with what previous media people have said. Let's take a look at her work experience here, and you can even call her. If you want to call her, have a discussion with her, be civil, and have a nice discussion with her, and have somebody do that. Somebody do that. It'd be nice to do that, and yeah, you might even want to record it. Check the consent laws in California. If it's two-party, one-party consent, if it's legally able to call, you can look into that. And do it for yourself and take a look. Okay? So here's her experience. Okay. Education. Well, I don't see any years of attendance here. That's suspect. I guess she doesn't want to basically show people that she graduated in 2020. Most likely. So she's been in the business for what? Going on 5 years? She's not even an experienced fucking reporter. See that? Okay. Interesting. So here's a article, and you can look up more. It's in November 2007. Analyst raises doubts about Citigroup dividend. That was it. So what? I mean, I'm talking about shorting these fucking banks at subprimes. I'm talking about a huge fucking collapse. And she's talking about, and this is a year before she writes this, and she's talking about a dividend cut. Folks, I'm forecasting accurately dividend cuts all the time. It's not difficult for me anyway. But yet when someone does it, they treat him like a fucking hero. Unbelievable. And remember, I gave you guys the context. There was already issues out there in 2007. There were already major issues out there with funding. Okay. CIBC analysts got death threats on Citigroup. So now this is complete horseshit. Complete bullshit. This was created by Whitney to sensationalize and overhype the significance of her stupid report. Think about this. She talks about a potential dividend cut for Citigroup. That's all. And she's getting death threats. Do you really believe that? She's already hyping herself up. You see? Fucking nonsense. So I want to show you now. I was looking for this 60 minutes. I mentioned a couple of years later, a few years later, 2010, Meredith Whitney comes out because she wants to profit from all this. She got her own firm now. She's trying to sell research annually for $100,000 a year. She wants to start a credit rating agency as well, since she claimed all the credit rating agencies failed, and she wants to come in, and she's credible now because she predicted the financial crisis, right? You understand? The fucking scam. Thank God the people that are in charge of the credit rating agencies realized she's a fucking clown and didn't allow her to do it, didn't approve it, even though I'm sure she's got relatives that work there, but it was just no, we can't. It's just sorry, Whitney. It's no. You're too much of a clown. We can't give you a pass on this. So I looked for the video. 60 Minutes featured her. And keep in mind, folks, 60 Minutes lost credibility. God, 20 years ago, I stopped watching. I mean, it's a complete horseshit shit show. You might recall they also promoted another con man, scam artist, Whitney Tilson, on 60 Minutes, right? As some. And of course, he uses that. Oh, on 60 Minutes, I exposed lumber liquidators. No, you didn't. No, it's a complete horseshit. Whitney Tilson, as I've exposed many years ago on many videos on my site, was a clown who was coming out trying to make money shorting Netflix for years. That's what ultimately blew his hedge fund up. That's why now he's in the copywriting business with fucking Porter Stansberry. That's right. I got the whole fucking shebang on all these scammers, folks. Nobody even can remotely come close to me on this stuff because it's been a passion. Okay, when you do something that's life-changing, amazing. I didn't look at my accomplishment as amazing, but now I see it was amazing. My fucking prediction was amazing, historical, unprecedented, and you're banned. And I did that to help people. When you do something like that to help people, there's no profit motive at all. I wasn't promoting myself, my firm, anything. I started my research firm, my public markets research firm, as a way to help people because I was being banned. I was involved in the private markets before that. This wasn't a business plan. All right? Even if it was, it doesn't matter. I'm bright. I'm bright. I'm a fucking legend. The legend that no one knows about. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Okay? Anybody that doesn't know, read the fucking book. You start with the chapters, and you tell me there's someone out there that comes close to me. Just on that alone, the financial crisis, not to mention my full track record. You have the naysayers, people that want to try and discredit me because I've exposed them as frauds and scammers. But all I say is put your money where your fucking mouth is. If it's several rewards out there, $50,000, $100,000, and nobody's taking me up on it ever. Put your money where your mouth is, or you're not credible. What you're saying is a lie. It's wrong. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's go to the table with money or shut your fucking mouth. You're a loser. Got it? That goes to anybody in the world. Okay? To Meredith Whitney trying to profit from all this bullshit, from the smoke and mirrors that was created by herself and with the help of her friends in the media, she tries to make more of a name, become more of a media celebrity, when she claims that up to 100 major defaults in America are going to occur in 2011. She makes that claim in 2010. Some of you might remember that. I've told a story about that. I'm not going to get into that now. We had a fund manager, a municipal bond fund manager, who was one of my clients. We had a phone call, and we were laughing about her. We knew it was a joke. 60 Minutes featured her. Take a look. I looked for this on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes, Meredith Whitney, nothing. On ScamTube, nothing. It's not here. Why is that? 60 Minutes is fucking embarrassed. They're hiding it. See that? She's not on there. It was on there before because it was such a fucking terrible call. See that, folks? Not there. You only find it if you know the title of the video. So type in Day of Reckoning and see what you get. 60 Minutes, let's see, Day of Reckoning. They don't want you to be able to search based upon Whitney. Let's see what we get here. That's it. See, there you got it. Look, State Budget's Day of Reckoning. Okay, see that? Notice it's not on 60 Minutes. They took it off 60 Minutes. They put it on CBS News. You see that? Folks, no one else in the world knows this, what I'm showing you right here. Nobody else, only you guys know this. It's a great example of the fucking media fraud, the scams. See that? It was on here previously. How do I know that? How do you know, Mike? How do you know it was on there? Well, this is how I know, because I fucking saved this. Okay? I saved this. You got it?
By now, just about everyone in the country is aware of the federal deficit problem. But you should know that there is another financial crisis looming involving state and local governments. It's gotten much less attention because each state has a slightly different story. But in the 2 years since the Great Recession wrecked their economies and shriveled their income, the states have collectively spent nearly $500 billion more than they've collected in taxes, and there is a $1 trillion hole in their public pension funds. The states have been getting by on billions of dollars in federal stimulus funds, but the day of reckoning is at hand. The debt crisis is already making Wall Street nervous, and some believe that it could derail the recovery, cost 1 million public employees their jobs, and require another big bailout package that no one in Washington wants to talk about.
And by the way, I actually wrote about this issue as a problem. I wrote about that, but I didn't come out and say there's going to be 50 to 100 major defaults. A handful, but that was, weak cities that were already weak. But it was certainly an issue. The main point of emphasis that I made was that we're talking about an acceleration, an exacerbation of the underfunded pension problem. And of course, as you all might remember, you might recall, during this period, there was a variable restructuring of many state and local government pensions. Okay, anyway.
The story will continue in a moment.
60 minutes of fucking lies. Remember, 60 Minutes also has featured Michael Lewis, the fucking... And Michael Lewis is also related to the media guys, by the way. You got it? He's also related. That's why he's promoted. He's an idiot. He's a useful idiot. You see? He's rewriting the history. People think what he writes is nonfiction, and it's actually mostly fiction. He's an idiot. He doesn't even understand derivatives, right? But he's promoted because he creates the narrative that the Wall Street and media and their buddies, the whole collection of the gang, the Mafia, that they want the world to know about. You understand? He distracts people from the truth. And, there's plenty of frauds that will do this, but he's related to them. So he gets the money. You understand? That's how it works. Here we go with Meredith Whitney. Now, she's related to Michael Lewis as well. That's why she's being promoted as an expert, despite the fact that she's a fraud, like Michael Lewis.
The most alarming thing about the state issue is the level of complacency.
Meredith Whitney is one of the most respected financial analysts on Wall Street.
One of the most... No, she's not. She's a fucking joke. First of all, she worked at fucking shit show CIBC. Fucking garbage. Second of all, listen to her. Does she sound like she's even remotely intelligent? She sounds about as intelligent as her wrestler husband. That's right. Her husband's a wrestler. I'm not talking about Greco-Roman. I'm talking about, I guess at the time it was WWF, fake wrestling, guys on steroids, running around in bikinis, grabbing each other's asses, fake wrestling. That's who she's married to. Take a look at the guy's name, by the way.
One of the most influential women in American business. She made her reputation by warning that the big banks were in big trouble long before the 2008 collapse.
You hear that? She made a big name by warning that the big banks were in big trouble long before the 2008 collapse. Complete lie. You all saw the research report right there. That was it. Now, Meredith Whitney left the firm shortly thereafter that to start her own research firm. I don't know exactly when she left. I think it was sometime in 2008. Okay. That was the report, folks. That was it. I'm assuming that maybe she left soon after. But that was the report that was attributed to that. That's fact. You can even research that, and you will find specific notation that that was the report. That October 2007 research report. You all saw what that read. Not a big fucking deal. This is fraud. Lies, lies, lies. And by the way, for those of you who believe in this ridiculous dichotomy, mainstream media lies, I'm going to go to alternative. Alternative lies even more. It's even worse. Okay? Although, as I mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, these days, the distinction between mainstream and alternative is becoming less and less distinctive with each day.
Now she's warning about a financial meltdown in state and local governments.
It has tentacles as wide as anything I've seen. I think next to housing, this is the single most important issue in the United States and certainly the largest threat to the U.S. economy.
Why aren't people paying attention?
Because they don't pay attention until they have to.
Whitney says it's time to start.
The money that we take in, that's all the money we can spend.
California, which faces a $19 billion budget deficit next year, has a credit rating approaching junk status. It now spends more money on public employee pensions. Governor Chris Christie.
Am I getting?
The reckoning bid there are $400 million, $9 million.
You have borrowed from everybody you can borrow from.
So there you have it. I'm not going to play the rest of this. You heard the deal. Okay? You heard the situation there. And you all know the facts now. This is absolute fraud. It's fraud by all these media firms that are being paid to promote her. It's big PR money. Why? Because Meredith Whitney, after all of her failures, you can see her promoted by Forbes 11 years ago, right? Michael Lewis, the fraud, complete fucking idiot, disinformation. You can see it promoted here on the Financial Sense News Hour. Jim Poplova, fucking boiler room, fear-mongering, fucking con man. Let me just mention, by the way, Jim Poplova was featuring Peter Schiff and his hyperinflation narrative for many years, thereby potentially putting his clients, Jim Poplova's clients, in harm's way with that whole stupid narrative. And if you go on his site now, he's removed all those videos. He wants to erase the facts. This is the danger, folks, when you have non-legitimate publications such as YouTube. People erase their videos, they hide their videos. And let me just remind everybody, this is a prediction. This is a prediction of the financial crisis here. And that's in the description, this chapter here. This is what you call world-class analysis. World-class analysis. 41 pages discussing exactly what was going on. 2.5 years, or let's say 2 years, I guess, before it happened. Okay. There's just this chapter alone. I mean, folks, we're talking. I mean, this is the greatest investment book ever written. No doubt about it. Remember, not just the financial crisis. I detailed the whole trade issue 20 years ago. Nobody knew. I knew. I warned about the national security threat. I warned about the destruction of middle and working class America. And I'm banned. Think about it, folks. What's going on? The world's greatest investment analyst banned. It's unfortunate, it's disgusting and sad that I have to label myself accurately as what I am. I don't have others out there telling people that I am the world's best analyst. I have to do it, and it's fact, because I've been banned. Even 20 years later, and I'm banned still. Nobody knows. You've got new generations of people that don't even know about me, don't even know anything. And they're trusting all these frauds out there. They have no fucking idea what's going on. And then, of course, you've got the follow-up focusing on how to profit, focusing on real estate, actually providing a fucking tutorial on how to short, buying puts, right? And there you have it. Subprime lenders, boom, 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 boom. And then Fannie and Freddie. And then even talked about Countrywide. Everybody thought Countrywide was fucking rock solid safe. Not me. And then there you go, the banks. Bank of America, Citigroup, JP Morgan, Washington Mutual, Wells Fargo. Didn't think they were going to go to zero, but they were certainly going to collapse. That's why I said short them with more careful. Be more careful because of the bailout possibility. See that? I talked about the derivatives exposure. Of course, I went over the derivatives more in detail in the other book. There you go. Showed you the charts right there. Nobody did this in the world. Nobody in the world. Remember, this was all in late 2006. Not 2007. Not 2008. Imagine if I had a microphone in 2007 and 2008. The value I could have provided to people. But no, I'm banned. Got it? Instead, they promote frauds and scammers. Here's by page, excerpts by page number. There you have it, folks. This shows all the trade stuff. There you have it, folks.
Meredith, thank you for coming back. I think it was 4 years ago when we had you on, when it looked like...
And of course, Steve Forbes, this guy's a con man, by the way. You all know that. Contrarian indicator. He's one of these libertarian con men. That's what he is. Write it the fuck down. Broken clock, contrarian indicator, disaster, and promoter of fucking scammers. You know, scammer versus scammer. That's what they are. They hang together.
The world was coming to an end.
That's right.
But it didn't. Congratulations on your new book called Fate of the States, A New Geography of American Prosperity. And for some, less than prosperity.
Yes.
You see that? So she's even getting promoted by Steve Forbes, this fucking huckster, after her muni default prediction failed. She had egg all over her face. She's still writing books, trying to make all the money. She's getting promoted. Meanwhile, I'm banned. Think about that, folks. The guy that writes amazing books, provide people with a wealth of knowledge and massive fortunes if they listen, and I'm banned. That's why I will never write another fucking book again. It ain't gonna fucking happen. Don't ever ask me. People that get my research are the ones that are getting the fucking wisdom and insight. I'm banned. And you get shitty, useless books by broken clock clowns that missed everything, contrarian indicators that are promoted. That's the media. I'm not related to the media people. You got it? I'm honest. I'm credible. They don't like me for that. That makes me their enemy. You understand? She gets promoted on C-SPAN. Here. So this is her muni default thing. This is in September 5th, 2010. Look. So at least this is more accurate. She was the first financial analyst to predict major losses this is not even accurate. To predict major losses. No, she didn't. She warned about the need for a dividend cut or an asset sale. She warned about the need to cover more losses than the bank had accounted for. That's all. It's just a normal research report. But this makes it look like she predicted the stock would collapse and no. But at least they don't say that she predicted the financial crisis. You see? Folks,
saying they basically didn't know or understand their
Michael Lewis is interviewing her. That's suitable. You see? That's fitting because I told you, folks, Michael Lewis is a fraud. Email Michael Lewis and tell him I said that. He's a fraud. These people, they will run like scared you know what from the truth. I've got the truth because they live off perception. You understand? They're all full of shit. Michael Lewis, bullshit artist, fraudster. This is why people think they know what happened in the financial crisis because they read one of his bullshit books or watch a movie. This is the idiots that you're dealing with. I lived the whole goddamn thing. I predicted the whole goddamn thing. Okay? And of course, you take a look at Google Talks, same deal, folks. Same deal. In fact, Peter Schiff gave a Google Talk after his media buddies helped promote him as someone who allegedly predicted the financial crisis, which Peter Schiff did not predict anything. Okay? If Peter Schiff predicted the financial crisis, why did his customers get destroyed? Why did they lose more than the S&P? Why didn't Peter Schiff write about it in his book, in his 2007 book, Crash Proof? Just about everything he wrote about was the opposite happened or did not happen. Did Peter Schiff write about the mortgage-backed securities? Did he recommend shorting the subprimes? No, he didn't. It's all politics. Politics, the Fed is bad, it's the government, the banks are bad. Same thing he said then, same thing he was saying in 2000. Same thing he's saying now. Broken clock clown. You understand, folks. But guess what? Peter Schiff is from the right bloodline. You understand? That's the reality that no one wants to talk about. They don't want to talk about that issue. They want to tell you that you're a racist if you talk about that. I've been exposing this shit now for 15 years, more than 15 years, about the media. Okay? Specifically the media fraud, probably about 18 years. Okay? 17, 18 years. I've documented all this shit, and I'm just telling you, every single case I show you, whether it's Peter Schiff, Jeffrey Gundlach, Stanley Druckenmiller, Jim Rogers, you name it. It's not just them. This is the business model of the media. This is how they work. In 5 years, there's going to be new people you've never heard about, you don't even know about. They're going to be doing the same thing. They do it on all their TV shows. Okay? Just take a look at all these real estate shows that they've done, all the networks. All of them. Learning Channel, CNBC, whatever. And you take a look at these real estate guys, they're just about all of them are either failures, frauds, or they end up defrauding people. Okay? It's all about creating a media celebrity status. That's what these guys want to do. The media wants them there to sell advertisements. And CNBC now, they're selling the CNBC is selling like a service now to how to make money. You see, they have this perception now that you can make money. Oh, let me. I saw this advertised the other day. Let me see this here. This make it bullshit. They're selling some fucking bullshit how you can make money. And they want you to sign up, like some fucking courses or something. You see that? This is all scam. This make it's a fucking scam. It's all lies. They promote fraudsters. Remember, Kevin Pathrath, they promoted him, right? Graham Stephan, many others. It's all about losers. Look, college dropout, making a lot of money. They want to show you that you can be a loser and lazy and make a lot of money. And they're going to show you how. They're going to give you the stories. All bullshit. You see? You understand? Do you think this is much different than what CNBC does? Folks, it's the same thing. They're going to bring you Jim Rogers, a legendary investor. He's going to show you how to make a lot of money. You got it? Once again, you can't be fucked. You can't be defrauded, fooled, if you're not greedy. The key element for being duped by all these fuckers, whether it's CNBC, Scamberg, all the other broadcast media, internet media, ScamTube. If you're greedy, you're susceptible to be defrauded. It's that simple. If you're not greedy, you're probably not going to be scammed. Okay? Because unless you're just a fucking stupid dildo. Because if you're greedy, It taints your judgment. You understand? If you're greedy, you look past the, oh, this seems too good to be true, right? You don't need any credit, no money down. It's easy, right? If you're greedy, you look past common sense. Common sense is your best defense. Greed is your worst enemy. If you have greed and you lack common sense, you are in deep fucking trouble.